Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Target it goes in. Target it all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Right? Is we got our two guys, right? We got our two. Yeah, I'm gonna call them dogs, right? We got Mr. Nubin, who was having himself a fine rookie season last year. Of course, shockingly, he got injured, and we got Holland, right? But as a guy who's been just absolutely unbelievably amazing. Now, I'm not saying he's setting historical football records, coming up with interceptions and this, that. I'm not saying that, but the guy seems to have a knack for just being around the ball, right? And let's not forget, it was the Panthers. I think it was his first NFL play ever, right? 2022, right? Yeah, it was against the Panthers. Right? That was our magical season, 2022, right? We kicked off to the Panthers. They run the ball, fumble. Who's there to recover the fumble? Mr. Belton, right? According to, I think it was Big Blue Kickoff Live. They keep track, right? They don't. There's things that they can say and things they can't say. Like when it's open to the media, they can say a little bit more about what was going on at certain game, the practice and all that, and everything, because the media is going to say certain things, right? They jot down all kinds of things and everything like that. But when the media is not there, they can't really say a lot, Like as I'm saying, Big Blue Kickoff Live with Schmelk and Paul Dottino and Lance Meadow, those guys. They can only say certain things. But one thing that they've been talking about so far in the 6 OTAs that they've had, Giants have had. And actually, let's not forget, the first OTA really wasn't even an OTA. It was more like an O and a T. The A wasn't even there. I mean, they had like a 40-minute whatever, and then they went and played golf, right? So they really only had like 5 OTAs, okay? And once again, there's no contact. There's no, when we're talking the secondary, there's no man-on-man. Guy gets something to the line, you jam them or you ride with them or something. There's none of that. You can't do any of that, right? But, in the OTAs they've had so far, I believe they said, once again, this is just OTAs. This is not the Super Bowl. It's not a whole, I'm not saying, but he's come up with 3 different interceptions, apparently so far. But the guy, he just seems to keep coming up with turnovers, And we're gonna and that word turnovers in a few more minutes down the road here. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that, turnovers, okay? But the guy seems to come up with the ball, right? I mean, so this is his 4th year, right? Hopefully we can re-sign the guy. Now the nice thing is he did very well when he filled in for Nubin last year. He did pretty well. He had one bad game against the Eagles. Shocking, I know, but the final 5 games of the season, the first 4 he had were filling in for Nubin. He didn't do too bad, according to PFF. Okay, right. His last game, I think he graded like a 49 or something. I think it was against the Eagles. I don't know if I got him. I had him, but. Oh, wait. Did I keep it up there? Let me see here. Okay. I got Jevon. Let's see if I can go to Belton there. The PFF has been a pain in the butt. Dane Belton. Okay, let's see. Takes like I type the guy's name and it takes like 5 minutes for it to load his stats up. I have no idea why. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I tried, but I do know. I think it was a 49 he graded out at, but the other 4 games that he played were not too bad at all. Really, really were not too bad at all. Let me try this again. This is. I don't know what the hell is going on here with nope. Dane Belton. Yeah, I don't know. Something screwed up here with PFF. But I don't want to keep wasting time on this. But he's done a very good job. Very, very good job. Now, as I said, it would really, really be nice if they could wind up, hopefully, maybe after the season's over, obviously, because he was a later round pick, right? This is his last season. Now, he's not so much a big starter for us. So hopefully, to get some, if we can bring him back, get some really good quality depth for the Giants at safety, that would be huge. Now, he would not be super expensive. He would be somebody, you draft him, you develop him, and you keep him. That would be huge, right? So we got an article, Giants safety is stealing the show at OTAs, and it's not who you think. Breakout season loading at the perfect time, which is huge for him. I mean, because obviously, for Mr. Belton, this is obviously a contract year for him. So the Giants don't want to sign him, right? Somebody else might want to sign him, right? He's not going to get $17 million a year like Xavier McKinney. It's not happening. But if he can get some working on the field and get some more turnovers and prove himself worthy, he's going to make himself some money. Not with the Giants, with another team. I said, but the thing is with the Giants, they could certainly bring him back, right? And it would not be that expensive. I'm not saying what he's going to get $3 million a year, 4 or 5. I don't know, but we're not looking at double digits. And to bring somebody back like Belton, okay, who has a lot of tread left on the tires, young, cheap, good depth, safety, that would be fantastic. All right. There's no shortage of buzz around the Giants defense heading into this 2025 season. Between bringing in Paulson, Adebo, Jevon, Holland, and obviously Nubin, Phillips, and the addition of Marquand Manuel to guide the secondary. There are plenty of reasons to believe this group can be a massive difference maker. The team has quietly rebuilt the back end of the defense with quality players who will look to establish itself one of the best groups, albeit underrated in the league. Yeah. But through 6 OTA practices, and I said, really, the first one was more like a golf outing than anything else. I mean, it's not Holland or Nubin making the headlines. It's 4th-year safety Dane Belton. The former 4th-round pick is in a contract year and is playing like it. Belton has recorded 3 interceptions in 6 practices, including a pick 6, which I think was the first one. His first interception would have been a pick 6. Putting together one of the most productive springs of any Giant defender so far. Now, let's not forget, right? Let's not forget. This is OTAs. Let's not forget. What's up, buddy? Let's not forget when we had Trey Hawkins the third. I think it was last season, right? He was. I mean, he looked like he was the second coming of prime time. I mean, he was covering guys left and right. I'm like, my God, this could be the greatest cornerback of all time. McGee, Trey Hawkins, McGee. And then the regular season rolled around, and right, so that's Well, that was Trey Hawkins' rookie season. Dane Belton is not a rookie. So, but once again, you always got to, it's nice to get excited, but when you're talking OTAs, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, right? Defensive coordinator Shane Bowen is already taking notice. Dane's been really good for us here early. Like, he's had a really good spring. So finding ways to get him on the field, what he can do for us to help us, be really encouraged about that group, about the secondary. That kind of momentum could force the G-men into a rotation that wasn't exactly expected. Or, there's times when you might want 3 safeties on the field, right? Maybe put a third safety, bring a safety up into the box, right? Belton has always been a capable playmaker with versatility and speed, but now he's making the case for a much bigger role. With a unit that struggled mightily to generate takeaways last season, and we're going to talk about takeaways here in just a minute, he's offering something the staff has made clear it desperately wants. Dane Belton is making a name for himself at the OTAs. Over the last 2 years, Belton has developed into one of the most opportunistic defenders on the roster. His ability to force turnovers, 4 interceptions, and 3 fumble recoveries in limited starts hasn't gone unnoticed, especially on a defense that's ranked near the bottom of the league in takeaways last season. Oh my God, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. Big Blue recorded an embarrassing 5 interceptions in 2024. Belton, despite limited snaps, still accounted for 1 of them. This spring, his ball-hawking instincts are flashing early and often. His 3 picks in 6 OTA practices are a really encouraging sign of something bigger. He has also shown comfort in both safety spots and sub-package alignments, which opens the door for defensive flexibility that the team lacked last year. It's great news since the league loves its some versatility. Belton has always profiled as a smart, versatile player with range and toughness. He's earned praise in the past for his football IQ and zone coverage anticipation. But heading into year 4, the stakes are different. Yep. This is a contract year. The roster is deeper and competition is real. With veterans like Holland expected to be the leader and Nubin pushing for a breakout, Belton needed a spring like this to etch his name into the pecking order. So far, he's doing exactly that. Giants aren't handing out anything to anyone based on spring performance alone. But Belton's early impact is really hard to ignore. For a team looking to change its identity on defense and reverse its turnover drought, he's giving them exactly the kind of jolt they've been missing. So, once again, as always, it's a, it's just OTAs. You always got to, keep that in mind, right? But it's, the one thing it's kind of, interesting to think of because, a lot of this is, there's obviously no contact. You can't jam somebody, you can't touch the guy. So it's kind of tough to run with receivers and all that when you really can't touch them. You can't run, really, look back for the ball and have to try to grab the receiver or stuff like, it's kind of tough. Like I said, once again, it's just OTAs. We got a long way to go. So you got to really pump the brakes, this, that, and the other thing. But, so far, that's one thing with Belton. In his limited time when he's on the field, the man gets around the ball. And there's no denying that. So if worse, it comes to absolute worst, right? We have 3 we do have 3 nice safeties. We're going to have, obviously, next season, the next 3 seasons, we're going to have Holland and we're going to have Nubin. Can we get Belton back on the cheap after his season's over and sign him to a couple-year contract or so to keep that 3-headed monster there? That'd be really, really good. Really, really good.